Hey folks, today I'm going to be showing you how to hook a remote thermostat up to a Hotpoint PTAC or package terminal air conditioner. This is the type with the dip switches and stuff, so we'll show you how to set those, how to put the thermostat cabling in, and we'll get you up and running. So as I mentioned, this is the Hotpoint PTAC made by General Electric, I believe. I'm not exactly sure which model number that this is, but this is the Hotpoint with the heat pump and the heat strip in it. And that's what your control panel looks like, and down here is where your remote thermostat hooks up. We're going to be hooking up the remote thermostat now. We're going to be working in this area here where our connections are. We're going to be putting in our leads from our remote thermostat. First thing we need to do is take these two screws out right here and here and remove this cover. And that cover just comes off and exposes your connections down there. So on our particular unit, we don't have the 4-stage on it, so it's just a hot lead wire, our power for our compressor, our power for our heater, and our power for our fan. So we're going to be using, as you can see, like I said, it's a 4-cable lead, and we'll be connecting that. So as you can see here, going from right to left, you've got 24 volt. That's the hot 24 volt. You got another 24 volt beside it. That's your common volt. That's your common power source. So say you were running a thermostat that didn't run batteries, you would have a 5th wire that would go to that, and it would power the thermostat instead of batteries. In our case, we're running batteries in the thermostat, so we won't be needing that. Right next to that, you have one that says comp. That's your compressor. That's usually your yellow wire. In my case here today, in this particular room, it's brown, but that will normally be your yellow or your orange wire that goes in there. Next to that, you have heat 1 and heat 2. Heat 2, best as I can tell on this unit, never gets used. I think that would be for a 4-stage, I'm not sure, but anyways, in our application, we're only using heat 1, and that's usually going to be your white wire. And then moving left again, we've got the 4-way, which, as I said, we're not using. And then you've got to the left of that high fan and low fan. We always, or the way I set them up in my hotel rooms, is I always keep them on high fan just to have the system cool and heat as quickly as possible. If you've got noisy units, I guess, you could keep them on low fan. Or if you're in a climate where getting heat out as fast as possible isn't as important, or getting air conditioning out as fast as possible isn't as important, you could keep it on low fan. As I said, I always put mine on heat. I'm in southern Ontario, and we go from extremes of 35 degrees and humid in the summer, which in Fahrenheit is, around 100 degrees and humid, or to the extreme opposite in the winter, where it's minus 35 degrees and you need the heat and the air conditioning as quickly as possible. So I'm going to use my green wire for that, and that's going to go to my fan high. Okay, so now we've got the completed process. As I'll just go over it one more time. As you can see, I've got the red in the 24 volt power. That's the first one. We don't use the second 24 volt power because that would be for other applications like a wired thermostat, where the wire provides the power to the thermostat. I've got my brown, which would normally be orange, like I said, orange or yellow, but I've got my brown in the compressor. That's what triggers the call for the air conditioner. I've got my white in the heat, and I've got my green in the high fan. Now the next step we have to go through is setting the dip switches. On this particular model, the Hotpoint, we use dip switches to tell it whether it's run off the front panel or off of a remote thermostat. In this case, we want to set it for a remote thermostat. This little switch down here, if I can point to it, this is what they call the hotel switch, the front desk switch. Make sure that says on or your unit will not turn on. It's got on and 1. If it's in the 1 position, that's for applications where front desk has the ability to turn the power on and off essentially to the PTAC. So if the room's not occupied, the power is shut off to it. And then when somebody checks into the room, we don't have the system in my hotel, but I assume what happens is the computer system sends notice to the PTAC the room's going to be occupied when it's checked in, so it switches the power on to the PTAC, and then the guests can use it at their will for the air conditioning or the... Oh, this first one, where am I here? This first one right here, that, the one that's labeled number 4, but it's actually S1, which I believe it's S1. Yeah, S1. You got S1, S2, S3, S4. I don't know why they're 1, 2, 3, 4. They're backwards. But anyways, S1 is the number 4 right here where I'm pointing. That one signifies whether it's electric heat only or electric and heat pump. We're electric heat only, but I don't think it matters where that switch is. I'm going to put it in the electric heat only setting, but I don't think it really matters, to be honest. The number 3 right beside it, which is S2, that one is, I was correct about that. That is the one that sets the panel, the display on the panel to Fahrenheit or Celsius. If you're using a remote, it does not matter anyway, because all the panel will say, once you change the setting, is LC for locked, I guess. S3 here, or the number 2 that I'm pointing at, which is in the down position right now, that is the one that signifies whether it's run off the panel or the remote thermostat. We're going to push that up. When it's up, it's on, like so, and that tells the unit, as I said, it's going to be run remotely. These next 4 here, these next 2 here are the number 1 here, which is S4, and S5, which is the number 4 on this side. They're both up right now, which is fine. Those configure your settings for your low points and your high points. So, for example, right now, they're both in the up position. Currently, the range on this PTAC is 61 Fahrenheit on the low end and 86 on the high end. I'm okay with that. Refer to your manual if you want to put those settings a little lower or higher. You'd have to change the pins here, otherwise they're fine. And the last 2 are for low temperature protection, which I don't use. And S9 oddly says use some types of wall thermostat, so I don't know where this PTAC was made, but the manual's not very good. It's not very descriptive. But I'm going to show you the part that I had a problem understanding when I first tried this, and you may run into the same problem. So we're set up for the wall thermostat now, and when I tried to turn the first one I did on it, didn't work. And I'm going to show you why. It's because there is another bank of dip switches just over here on this side, these 2 blue sets here. And one of those needs to be set in the position, I don't know why the why the manual doesn't specify this better, but it has to be set for the thermostats. Okay, so it's this guy right here, this one that says S9. Beside the off, there's S9, and it's in the up position. That is the one that says nothing but wall thermostat type. It doesn't specify what those wall thermostat types are. It just says wall thermostat type. I found out apparently that one needs to be in the off position or down. So we're going to take that number 3 and we're just going to flip it down like so. So this, if you want to take a look at these dip switches and how they're set, these are my settings for using the wall-mounted thermostat, the wired wall-mounted thermostat. And as I said, always make sure that your one down here, your front desk override, is in the on position. And that should be about it. We should be able to fire this up. Okay, so I plugged the thermostat into the 220 volt outlet, and there's nothing on the display. But you'll see if I push the power button, the letters, I know they're flashing on the screen here because of the LED, but they come up LC. If you're seeing something other than LC, like for example, if you push power and the unit comes on and it shows a temperature, that means you're not in remote thermostat mode. It must be in the LC mode. So if you see those LC, that means your dip switches are set right for the remote thermostat. So we're going to go over here and check the wall thermostat. I put the batteries in. It's in the off position still. We're going to check the wiring. So as you can see, we've still got the the power going to our hot lead, or R. The thermostats actually color them. So you've got your white. I did not install this thermostat, and as you can see, it's a good thing I came over and checked, because somebody saw my brown compressor wire and put it in what they thought was the right spot for B, but that's not the right spot, because as we all know, I said this is my yellow. So we're going to shut off just for a second here, and we're going to fix that. Okay, so a little quick swap there, and I'm back. So we've got them all in the right order now here. We've got our R for our red, our W for our white, as you can see there. I've moved what's supposed to be the yellow wire, which is brown wire in this room for some reason. I moved it to the yellow slot, for that's the air conditioner compressor, and the green to power our fan. So if we put the thermostat back on, there we go. And we're going to try out the air conditioner here. We're in auto, cool. We'll set it for 56. I've just heard the fan come on. And I don't know if the microphone picked that up on the phone, on my camera here, but the air conditioning compressor just kicked on. So everything is good to go here. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's how you set up Hotpoint for remote thermostat. Check out any other videos if you need any more tips and hints, and we'll see you later.